everyone, today is another Q&A with me where I answer all of your questions. Again, these are all anonymous, so let's get started. At SAB, were people nice or was it slightly nasty or competitive between the girls? I'm moving away this year to a school, but I'm nervous that I may not make friends or possibly be bullied. For me personally, when I went to SAB, it was so wonderful to be around people who wanted to actually dance and work hard, and I finally felt like I was somewhere where everybody had a common interest. Everybody was there for a reason. Yes, there was competitiveness around people. Making friends is hard, especially in the ballet world, but it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. The horror stories you hear are kind of made up. At least they were at SAB. For me, everybody in my class was pretty close. Even if we weren't the best of friends, there was not a lot of problems at all, really. We just wanted to be there, wanted to work, and I feel like everybody knew where the talent lied and knew their competition, but it wasn't such a problem. I don't know about other schools, but at least for me, I didn't have many friend problems at SAB. I'm in the process of getting back in shape for ballet. I've been out for 4 years. Any tips? Just start back slowly. Don't do too much too quickly. You could hurt yourself. Gradually start with a bar, work up towards a longer bar, a harder bar, and then once you're ready, move to the center. It's just about doing it gradually, doing it smartly, not doing anything too fast. Don't throw the pointe shoes on right away. And as far as everything else goes, do some cross training. Maybe do some cardio, maybe do some Pilates or a mat class. Be careful with your food. Just eat really, really healthfully. But other than that, just take your time. Since it's been only 4 years, I know that sounds like a long time, but you should kind of get back into autopilot pretty quickly. I don't think you'll have too many problems. Just take it slowly. The next two questions kind of are similar. I have flat feet when putting weight on them, but in releve and when I point my feet, I have an arch. Will my flat feet mean I can't be a professional ballerina? And the other question is, I am 14 years old pursuing ballet seriously. However, I have a low instep and a medium low arch. Will not having ideal feet hurt my chances of getting into a company? With your feet, the most important thing is their strength. You have to be able to get over your pointe shoe and look pointed. You have to be able to point the shoe, even if you're not over pointe, just pointing it out to the side, it has to look pointed. You have to be able to really be strong and balance and turn without falling off your shoes, without kind of collapsing. So you just have to make sure your ankles are strong and look mildly pointed. That's really the most important thing with feet. You do not have to have Alessandro Ferri arches. Trust me, most people don't. But you do have to look pointed and you do have to be able to get up over your shoe. Now, flat foot standing, that's not a problem at all. That can even be better because it makes adagios easier. But flat foot in pointe shoes, as long as you look like, again, you can get over the shoe, you can point the shoe, and you can have straight knees over the shoe, and you can do all of your ballet technique well, with strong ankles, without falling out, without, collapsing, like I just said. That should be fine. You really, really, really don't have to have crazy. Just make sure your feet are strong. Just make sure you can point them. I've had to go on antidepressants lately, but they've made me gain quite a bit of weight. My lifestyle, eating and working out, hasn't changed. If anything, it's gotten better. But the weight won't come off. Do you have any advice? I had this problem in a different way due to my thyroid. Again, as I promised all of you, I will probably do, I haven't promised you yet, that's in a future vlog. In an upcoming vlog, I talked to you guys about the fact that I will probably do a full thyroid video, what I went through, what happened, etc. But with me, to start off with the thyroid, they put me on steroids, and I gained a ton of weight right off the bat. And then obviously dealing with that, I put on a lot more weight. It was all medical because, like you, my dancing and my eating and working out didn't change. It was just medical. So in your case, I know it's very, very, very frustrating. You said you're off of them. That's probably really, really good. Trust me, anybody who's on antidepressants or whatever, I completely understand that. That's not anything to be ashamed of. Just make sure you're eating really, really, really well. You're doing everything you can. Maybe try and do a bit of a detox. Try and cut out bread. Try and cut out carbs or dairy. It might kind of give your body a reset. But if anything, you just have to keep working. I went through the same thing. For 2 years, I was eating wonderfully, working out perfectly. Everything was great. But due to the medical reason, I didn't lose any weight. So you just have to wait for your body to catch up. I know how frustrating it is. Trust me, I have been there. But you just have to be patient. Also, the more you stress about it, the more you panic about it, the more you get all uptight, that's also going to keep weight on you. I have found even recently, just taking it one day at a time, relaxing, not forcing, just really, really being smart and not getting myself all worked up and all stressed, that's when the weight comes off. Because if you're just kind of uptight and everything, you're literally holding on to things. So just try and just relax about it, do your best, know that your body will catch up, and it should help you, because again, the more you stress, the more you keep weight on. So that's the thing I would really encourage you to do, is watch your stress level. Do you have any tips for positively standing out in class? That's a very, very good question, especially with summer intensives coming up, auditions. I think the most important thing, at least when I'm teaching, I really like students who look alert and they're paying attention to what I say, they're soaking in everything. For me, when I'm giving a combination and somebody's off practicing turns, somebody's off doing something else, not listening, that really irritates me. So really just make sure you look like you want to be there. Pay attention, look alert, really try and do exactly what the teacher says. I've said this before when talking about auditions in summer courses. Really try and do the combination the way the teacher gives it. It's very, very, very important, and it will stand you in good stead. The other thing in class to stand out is really try and have really, really good alignment. I really enjoy looking at the students who are very lifted, chest is open, everything is alive and excited, rather than this. Right? It just makes you look alert. It makes you look like you want to be there. So even something as simple as keeping the chest open and lifting up and eyes up rather than down, it's just this. That makes me kind of gravitate to them. So really watch the alignment open. Make sure you do the combinations the way the teacher gives them. And also make sure you look like you want to be there. No rip tights, no holes in leotards. Just really, really look put together, clean, professional. How should I cut my hair so that I can get it neatly into a bun? To be 100% honest with you, it does not really matter, because many professionals have very, very short hair and you'd never know it. They wear a lot of fake hair on the stage. I even wear fake hair on the stage in my bun. So obviously the easiest thing to do is to just keep it long, don't cut it. Obviously trim it so you don't get split ends, but just keep it long. That's the easiest thing to do. But there are many, many famous people who you all would know that have very, very short hair that keep it, that wear fake hair on stage, and they just have incredibly short, little bobs and things. So really it doesn't matter so long as you're happy with it. If you have short hair and it's giving you a problem with buns, grow it out. That's the easiest thing to do. The other thing I would encourage you all to do if you have long hair, don't have too many layers in your hair, because if you have layers, then you might have pieces sticking out. It's harder to get it into a ponytail, to get it up. So if you're going to grow it out and you really want bun-friendly hair, try and keep it all one length, not a lot of layers, because layers cause problems doing buns. So just long. But again, there's so many different hairstyles that the dancers actually have that it really doesn't matter. What do you think about private coaching with performance opportunities versus going to a school? Excellent question. I have known many, many dancers who get so caught up in working privately with teachers and only working on Grand Prix variations and just doing performances that they miss actual classes. Personally, I think going to a school is 1,000 times better, because you need to be in class every day doing full class, and then also working on variations, working on different things. Because even if you don't get performance opportunities, you can run variations at the end of class. You can, do your own little work with performances. But if you're also not in a school environment, seeing where everybody else is, seeing where the level of talent is, you're never going to know where you stand. If you just work privately, you will never know what else is out there. You will never know what you're up against. And essentially, you could get a rude awakening when you start to go try and get into companies, try and perform, try and do competitions. So I would encourage you all to go to a school first. If you get extra private lessons in addition to the school, now obviously that is fine, but private lessons solely, I personally think, are not a good idea. Plus, if a lot of you focus on private lessons and competitions, and just work on your variations, you're going to be very, very lopsided. Because let's face it, variations tend to only have turns to the right, only have things on one leg, you know, that kind of thing. You're going to be very, very lopsided. So you need to have a full class every day with other students that can push you, that can challenge you, that you can be inspired by. So I would advise you all to make sure you're in a good school first and then work on private coaching. I've always had problems with landing in Allegro, especially big jumps. I tried to think landing with my toes first and doing a deep plie, but that doesn't help much. Do you have any advice? Yes, when you are at the bar doing plies, and I've talked about this in my online classes, during a plie, as you plie and as you straighten, have the weight on the balls of the feet and really push through the floor on the balls of the feet. When you bend and when you straighten, you should really feel the calves. Try not to have any weight in your heels. And anytime you do a plie, really have the weight towards the ball of the foot. Don't have the heel purposely off the floor, but be in the balls of the feet as you plie and as you straighten. So that's how you're building up the calf strength. So when you land, you are correct in that you land with the toes first and then do a deep plie because you don't want to pop back to your heel. So yes, really try and be on the balls of your feet, but it starts at bar in plies. Demi and stretch, really pushing through the balls of the feet both ways. And then even when you're doing petit Allegro, really try every time you land to be a little bit forward and have the weight on the ball of the foot, not leaning backwards into the heels. And as you progress and as you work on that, that will carry over to big jumps. Because yes, you should definitely land through the toes first and do a nice deep plie. You're correct in that also. Don't land on straight legs. You know, so really try and just every time you plie, weights in the balls of the feet, not necessarily heels off the floor, but that's just where the weight is, that's where you're pushing, and you should build up the calf strength. Do big companies like ABT, San Francisco, etc. accept dancers with the Cuban ballet technique? Yes, absolutely, especially ABT. Jose Manuel Carreño, who was a very, very famous ABT principal, was Cuban. I believe there were some others, at least a few years ago. Any companies nowadays like dancers with different types of techniques, because if they want you to have a certain style, they will tell you, they will teach you, they will begin correcting you as you're rehearsing. So I wouldn't get so caught up on the style of technique you have. Yes, obviously if you want to be the New York City Ballet, you have to have balancing technique. However, you have to attend the school first in order to get in the company where they teach you. I had no balancing training, really, when I went to SAB and then New York City Ballet. I learned everything from scratch. So I wouldn't worry about it so much, but especially companies like ABT in San Francisco, they will definitely take a wider range of styles. Do you have to be hyperextended and have really long legs to be a professional dancer in a company? No, not at all. Maybe in the past, yes, but a lot of people get caught up in hyperextension and feet and all of that. As long as you are a solid dancer, have really nice lines, are very strong, can get over your shoes like we talked about earlier, hyperextension and really long legs doesn't matter at all. There are many, many famous dancers with actually very short legs. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I would much more focus on your technique. Have you ever had a different color pointe shoes other than pink? If you have, what was your favorite color to wear? Excellent question. Yes. One of my first things I did early on in City Ballet was the corps of Spanish and Nutcracker. And there are 4 couples in the corps, and each girl has a different color to her. Red, pink, blue, and purple. I was red. And principals are orange, gold. And we had red tights. I had red pointe shoes, which was really fun, but somebody else had blue pointe shoes and purple pointe shoes and pink pointe shoes, bright fuchsia pink. Also, a role I never did was the corps of Marzipan in New York City Ballet. They have yellow pointe shoes and yellow tights. But probably the craziest one was a ballet that Christopher Wheeldon did. It was not a very well-known ballet, but it was, and if I can find a picture, I'll insert it here. It was called Nightingale and the Rose, and there were 6, 8 maybe of us, corps, and we were flowers, and we had lime green tights, lime green shoes, and our costume, we were, I think, very floral. It faded from green to white, and then the headpiece was like yellow or something. And that was pretty interesting. It was really fun, actually, to be in lime green pointe shoes and lime green tights, yeah. What editing program do you use for your videos? Good question, love these. Final Cut Pro. the one that's sort of the really, really higher version of iMovie on the iMac. Most big YouTubers start with the iMovie when they are obviously starting out and then move to Final Cut Pro. It's very, very expensive, but it was really, really worth it to me. I've had no problems with Final Cut Pro. iMovie made me totally crazy, so I use Final Cut Pro. I have to do video auditions for a lot of my summer intensives this year as I can't make it to the actual audition. I was wondering if you had any tips on making a DVD audition. I know I'm a little bit late on this question, but this is just good for you guys in general. Make sure, A, it shows you very, very recently. Companies do not want to see somebody on a DVD and then you go to either take class with them or join the company and you look entirely different. So make sure it's very, very recent. Make sure it doesn't look too edited. You know, don't do like a combination, have 15 cuts in there so that it's not really real time. They need to see your real technique, real dancing. I would do a little bit of bar, a little bit of center, kind of an excerpt of class work, but then I would also throw in there a classical variation and possibly something more contemporary. Have somebody choreograph something for you. Maybe, you know, some little extra. It doesn't have to be long. Maybe, you know, 32 counts of something more modern, but I definitely stick a classical variation in there because they need to see you, especially companies, like seeing you more than just in class. They need to see you can be on the stage. They need to see you can be interesting. So, you know, Sleeping Beauty, Swan Lake, Nutcracker, something like that. Stick it in there also. But make sure it's recent, make sure it looks like you, and make sure it's not too edited. There we go, edited. Because again, they need to see it in real time, as if you were there in front of them. If you guys want a separate video on that, how to make a good DVD for auditions, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that and we can go into that further. I'm just starting pointe work and my big toe is my longest toe and the rest of my toes just taper down. I really find it painful to dance without a gel tip. When I dance on pointe, my big toe gets really numb, even just after 15 minutes. I find it really frustrating not to be able to dance for longer periods of time without massaging my big toe. Is this normal? Can you give me some advice? I know plenty of dancers who have that issue. Gel tips are great. The spacers are great. I think Bunheads, the brand Bunheads, has some spacers and things. But what you should probably do, obviously if your feet taper, mine do too. My big toe is my longest toe. I actually have never really had a problem with that. I just dance more towards the big toe. You can also maybe find a toe pad that will even you out a little bit. So maybe wear a toe pad that's thicker towards the smaller toes than on the big toe, just to kind of even it out. But I would maybe actually check your shoe size. I think maybe that's the biggest problem. If your shoes are too small, it can really hurt. As I told you all many, many times before, I was dancing in a pair of shoes that were 4 sizes too narrow. So I would maybe check your shoe size. Once I fixed my shoe size, all problems went away. No more blisters, no more pain. Check the shoe size. That's the biggest thing. I've had trouble keeping up my energy during all of class. I start usually doing everything all right, but after an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, I feel so tired and out of energy. And I feel like just starting to go through the motions instead of really dancing this. How can I change this? A couple of things. Maybe before class, eat something that's going to give you sustained energy. Not anything too sugary. For example, actually maybe some fruit because that has complex sugars, or a yogurt, or something that's not going to be too filling, obviously, but it's not going to be super, super sugar crash. Even some protein, maybe peanut butter with an apple or something might be really, really good to sustain you. But also maybe start doing some cardio. Maybe it could be that your cardiovascular health isn't 100%. So, you know, 30 minutes, 3, 4, 5 times a week on the elliptical, walking, running. Be careful with you guys running. Treadmill, that kind of thing. Swimming is good. The more you cross-train, the more you're in shape, the more you get your muscles stronger, the better through class you'll last. But I would watch what you're eating beforehand. Make sure you're not doing energy drinks. For me, I'm not a big caffeine person. I don't do coffee. I just do teas, and they don't have that much caffeine. And I'll do some caffeine tea in the morning, but later during the day, I don't drink any caffeine at all. Caffeine-free natural teas. So I would maybe also, counterintuitive as it sounds, stop the caffeine and really try and back yourself off of it so you have natural energy rather than depending on stimulants. So just those are a couple of things. If you're still having problems and you're still really, really tired, it could be a medical thing. If you're just feeling so labored, it could be a medical thing. So just make a couple of changes and see how you're doing. I would really love to join one of your online classes. Unfortunately, I'm not that advanced. Is it possible that you can do another one-on-one class, maybe on a less advanced level? That's a very, very good idea. Hadn't thought of that. I'm going to take stock at the end of the month, you guys, to kind of figure out if everybody's happy with the class times, everybody's happy with the classes. Obviously, in the future, I'm going to have to back these way down, unfortunately. Right now, I'm teaching every day, but it's great because it's getting me in shape. I'm teaching you guys and I'm taking class at the same time. That's why I've been doing them every day. But at the end of the month, start to tell me what you guys really, really want from the classes. If you like the current ones, you want different ones, what times. Because again, this is me catering to you, so just let me know. But I will work on more one-on-one, less advanced. My problem with the one-on-ones, and I'm actually backing this down a bit, is that people are having so many connection problems that you all are sort of missing half of class, or there's issues with webcams. So that's why I have upped the ones where I can't see all of you more, because nobody seems to be having big problems with those anymore, rather than the one-on-one. So just, again, let me know what you want, but I will work on it. What are your thoughts about dancing on Broadway? Dance on Broadway has gotten so, it's blown up in the last couple of years. Even with new musicals coming back from the olden days, like On the Town. You all know Megan Fairchild, principal dancer with New York City Ballet, is currently starring on that. If you can go see it, see it. She's incredible in it. That show has so much dancing. I mean, I don't know how they do it, honestly. The thing that's always impressed me about Broadway is that these dancers do the same exact show 8 times a week and somehow manage to make it look good every single time. With us as ballet dancers, we would do 6 weeks of Nutcracker and think we were going to absolutely die. So it's always impressed me, dancers on Broadway, no matter what show you're in, that they can do the same show 8 times a week, oftentimes for a year, because most of them are contracted at least at the start for a year. Same thing, 8 times a week for a year. That is really, really, really hard. So I have always admired Broadway people. I even remember City Ballet, we do 2 weeks of Sleeping Beauty, and we all thought we were just gonna lose it. So, you know, these dancers are so incredible. But new shows coming out, again, they're bringing back a lot of old things, but newer. American in Paris, Christopher Wheeldon is choreographing American in Paris, starring Robbie Fairchild from City Ballet and Leanne Cope of Royal Ballet. They're gonna be the stars of that coming to Broadway. So dance has really, really taken off on Broadway. And it's really, really great to see. But for me, the thing about Broadway, again, is that these people can do the same thing 8 times a week. I don't know how they do that. I 3/4 my Pointe shoes shanks to make my feet more archy. Lately, I've had issues with the edge of the shank giving me big infected sores on my arches. I pat it with moleskin over the cut area and lamb's wool on top of that. Is there anything I can do to prevent this from happening or ways to heal this faster while still dancing? When I used to 3/4 my shoes as well, I had the same problem. The thing you can do is, you know, the little paper insert that comes in the shoes that lays over the shank, peel that back. I think I show you all this in my Pointe shoe tips and tricks video, which if you haven't seen, I will link here and below. But take that little paper off, 3/4 it, lay it back down over the shank, so then you're not getting the cut. Either that or take some toe tape and tape that edge back down to your shoe. It's really, instead of putting stuff over the cut of your foot, put it over the cut shank and back to the shoe, make it softer, etc., etc. Rather than sort of adding insult to the cut itself. So really try and do something to the shoe, whether you pat it, again, with lamb's wool, moleskin, rather than your foot. The heels of my Pointe shoes often slip off my feet. I've tried many different brands and models of shoes, but it still continues to happen. I've also tried sewing down the elastics a little farther back in the heel, but it doesn't help. I really need to know what to do about this. Easy, easy trick. Rosin. We did this for performances every show. I could not dance without doing this. You sit down, you stick your heel in the rosin box, and you get the tights covered in rosin, and then you take the shoe and you also rosin the inside of the heel with the rosin, and it actually sticks to your tights. Sticks to the tights. And I've never ever lost a shoe like that, my heels slipping off. Yes, the elastic does help. Maybe sew it, again, like you said, towards the back of the heel. But really and truly, rosin is the key for this one. Every single one of us does it. You sit in the rosin box, rosin the heel of your heel in the tights and the heel of the shoe. Put the shoe on, I guarantee it'll work. Could you share some tips on strengthening and or compensating for the weak side? For example, I have one leg more turned out than the other and I'm much better turning left than right. The key to this, unfortunately, is just to do more repetitions to your weaker side. There's no magic for this. You know, on your own, if you do 2 pirouettes, you know, 4th pirouette, for however many pirouettes you do to the right, double it to the left, or whatever it is. More repetition, more exercises. If you have one hip weaker than the other, do your exercises twice as many on one hip than the other. TheraBand exercises, twice as many on one side than the other. Sounds really frustrating, but there is no magic trick to this. It's just about getting it stronger so it can catch up. Because if you keep working it evenly and you're lopsided, you're still going to be lopsided. So just work it more than the other side. Repetition, 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 unfortunately. I got rejected from the SAB summer course. Is there any intensive you suggest I should go to instead? I live in the Bronx and want somewhere I can go year-round next year. Yes. Couple of places. One is Ballet Academy East, BAE, under the direction of Darla Hoover, who is a former New York City Ballet dancer. Fantastic school. Chase Finley, who's a principal of New York City Ballet, danced there, grew up there. Erica Pereira, who's a soloist, danced there. Many others. Also Manhattan Youth Ballet, under the direction of Deborah Wingert, who's also a New York City Ballet dancer, and Daniel Olbrecht. Daniel Olbrecht is now very, very much involved in the Manhattan Youth Ballet School. I will have both links of those if you guys want to look at those, BAE and Manhattan Youth Ballet, in the box below. Both are fantastic schools, especially if you're in the New York area. The other thing I want to address now, many of you asked me about SAB auditions. I didn't get in. What happened? I thought I had a really good one. The key with SAB auditions, so you all know for the future, and I think I've said this before, go early. Go to the earliest audition you possibly can, because they are taking so many students now that oftentimes by the time they get to the last half of the auditions, they have no more spots. Dorms are full, classes are full. They used to have 6 levels, now there are 9. It's gotten crazy. So if you can, really and try, it's worth making the effort to go early on the SAB audition tour. That could be the sole reason you either didn't get in or you were waitlisted. They have a huge waitlist now. Because I remember actually they auditioned in my hometown one year. I was already in the company, I just happened to be in town, so I watched. And the teacher came up to me and she said, I don't know why I'm here, I can't take anybody. From the start, she had no spots. So really try to go early. That could be the sole reason you all did not get in. But like I said just a second ago, BAE, if you want to go year-round, BAE is fantastic. Manhattan Youth Ballet is fantastic as well. Both links are below. The last thing you all have been asking me a lot about is stretching. I did do the stretching video, so probably those questions came up before I did it. If you didn't see that stretching flexibility routine, I will link it here and below as well. The key with stretching is just to do it gradually over time. That routine I came up with really has been helping a lot of you. So happy to hear it. Keep doing it. You can always hold things longer to even get more flexibility. Just make sure you're warm before doing it. Thank you all so much for your fantastic questions. Again, I had so many more that I just couldn't get to today. I love you all. Coming up Friday, another turning technique tips video. We're really going to stick with the turns right now. You all seem to really like the Pointe one. I'm so happy. So on Friday, we're going to do either, let me know, you have a choice, either pirouettes from 5th or attitude pirouettes. Up to you guys. Let me know. Bye. I love you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you then. If you missed the Pointe video I was just talking about, you can click it to watch. Also, don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Here are my social media links, and thank you so much again for watching.